Vinod Sekhar, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's start with a basic definition of CSR versus social innovation. What are the differences between the two of those?
I think CSR has got a bad rap, and simply because it's overly used and it's become just the PR part of a company's normal business, you know, sort of saying it's that little component you add on as a PR exercise, unfortunately. Whereas a lot of companies take it very seriously, a lot of companies just, as I said, use it just for pure public relations. What we need to do is go beyond that definition of CSR. And because that definition has been so heavily used, we need to come up with something new, something different. I think perhaps calling it, the socio-economic innovation, that's what's required. You know, that we need to now not just allow it to be a small component that a company does as a part of its little business line, but actually make it an integral part of how they operate.
Give me a practical example, anyone you want, of how that would work. How would social economic integration work versus CSR?
Well,
in your company, for example.
In our company, I mean, if you look at our plans to our biofuel company, that is a prime example of how it's actual socio-economic development. Okay, I mean, we're looking at the basis that we are the capitalist, we want to make money, but we're looking at ways in which we can make money and make a difference. And in terms of our biofuel development, we've gone to governments, and the governments gives us the land. Okay, we take that land, we then encourage the government to create small holdings around that central plantation, if you like, and give it to families. We provide seeds to those families and teach them how to plant it and take care of it and harvest it. We then buy those harvested seeds from them. We then put it into our central plantation, our central plant, and convert it to biodiesel. The government is a partner in the central plantation. Those families that have their 10, 20 hectare plots, we've currently created a wealth creation program for them. The employment's required as a part of that program, so we've created employment for those workers that need employment to harvest the land every time it's required. And I think here's a prime example. So we as a business, we've made our money. We own 51% of the company, we make most of the profit.
And you're unapologetic about 51% goes into your pocket.
Absolutely. I think we have got to stop apologizing for this. This is human nature. Nothing is going to make a difference in this world. You can't do anything that's going to make a global impact unless it's economic or it's commercial. Okay? The question is, we should be smart enough to be able to do that and do some good along the way.
Why aren't companies, the vast majority of companies in Asia, living that message?
I think you're finding that change occurring now. They are slowly beginning to. But in Asia, unfortunately, it's a long way off, simply because we're jaded. We've been used to seeing such deprivation, such poverty for so long. It's like being slapped in the face. It stings the first time, but if I'm going to slap you every day, eventually you're just numb to it. It just becomes an annoyance that you just ignore. And unfortunately, poverty, extreme poverty in Asia has become just an annoyance. We are so numb to it that we don't think it's something that we need to solve. And that's got to change. It's got to be unacceptable.
I know philanthropy isn't exactly what you're talking about with social innovation or economic social innovation, but philanthropy has been around. It has a long and rich tradition among Asians and Asian companies toward their fellow Asians.
I absolutely agree.
Why haven't they, over the generations, either recent or in the far past, picked up on this to learn how to reinvest in the community in that way?
You've got to look at philanthropy. Philanthropy involves individuals. It's grown into organizations that have then trustees that follow, if you like, the original trust deed created, that was created by that one individual that decided to create a foundation or decided to donate, or by the corporation that decided, look, we want to have our own little charity that does, the kind of things we like. And that's good and that's important. That should carry on. Okay, because that has impact across the board in terms of ensuring orphanages get funded, ensuring
libraries and
hospitals and doctors, and you're paying for doctors to go take care of rural children. That's important. What we're talking about here is that major leap forward, where we now, let's be honest, business is an integral part of everyday life for everyone. Whether you're employed by the government, whether you're a farmer, whatever you do, businesses have an incredibly important impact on your life. Whether you're selling to someone, whether you're buying from someone, whether your roads being laid, whether your telephone wires being put up, it has direct impact. Now, if we cannot get those businesses to look into themselves to see how they can integrate their social innovation within their business, that's where you'll have the significant impact, which will change the way a country operates, change the way people operate. And unfortunately, because of this jaded, the numbness I've been talking about, we need corporations to do it, because corporations can impact the employees, can inspire the employees, and leadership within corporations can inspire the employees to open their eyes and say, we've got to do something about this.
How do you inspire that change? It's tough enough in good economic times when there's a perception that this is going to take money and an investment. How do you make that shift with companies when there might be resistance during tough economic times, as we're seeing now?
I think what's important to understand is tough economic times are transient. Good, solid companies that are looking long term realize that. Okay, so now tough economic times just means that they can do less financially, but it doesn't change the way they can inspire their employees. It doesn't change the fact that they can operate their businesses in a slightly different way that impacts society positively. It just requires a bit of thought. It requires a bit of long-term thinking. And quite frankly, let's be honest, we businessmen, the successful businessmen, the successful businesses know how to take, I mean, we see this all the time, right? We take a dead company, complete dead, just there. We take it, lawyers, accountants, PR specialists. We'll spin it around and we'll represent it as a brand new goose that lays golden eggs and make you forget that it was dead. It was dead duck earlier. We have that ability. We have that gift. Businessmen have that ability to do that sort of thing. It's a question of taking that, what we do for ourselves in terms of building businesses, and saying, fine, well, think outside the box. Use that little bit of that little bit of smarts, and see how you can now take your business and, without affecting you, but better still, increasing the potential value of your company. How can you now do some good? And in our case, I think we've done good, but we actually gain from it. Whether it's in biofuel or whether it's in green rubber or recycling company, we gain by doing good. I mean, we make more money. I mean, in terms of our biofuel, because of what we do, we make 51% of the profit, but hey, we've got a great relation with governments, we get the land for free, we get support from the community, we get labor coming in. It's fantastic having all those things work together, and we still make the money. So it's really thinking outside the box. How do we get partnerships to work together? How do we integrate different components within an economic template? How do we get them all working on the same direction and benefiting from each other, if you like? And I think if you look at this, if we look at the simplest way of dealing with it is to look at a situation and say, fine, this is what I can get out of it. Now, what's different is I have to now look at it and say, fine, I know what I get out of it. Now, how do I do this in such a way that he, she, and that person over there can get something out of it as well, so that I can bring them into this? And I think that's what's required now, where I know what I can do, now I know what I can gain, I know how I can make myself money, but now how do I involve these different stakeholders and show them how they can gain from this? And in the overall picture, I gain anyway, significantly more by their involvement. Again, it's long-term thinking. You've got to be able to think more than, the front of your nose, or more than just the first year. But that's what's required now.
Vinod Sekhar, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure.